Hello and welcome to another video. This video will be about fake news, conspiracy theories, alternative facts, Russian trolls, and perhaps at least here it's called, the Russian troll factories. And well, it's the last day of the European Union voting here in Sweden. So today I've voted, and in my view, I think the subject perhaps deserves its own video, but in my view, we're voting for people that want to, work within the European Parliament, and they're happy to do it, and we're voting for them to work under a president that we did not elect in any way. So, yay. But, back to the subject, fake news or conspiracy theories. So I think no one has missed the spread of new media outlets, new news channels perhaps, and these new words that seem to fly around them. So what I conclude from all of this is that it's getting pretty obvious to everyone right now that it's very important who and what you read, or who and what you listen to, etc. And the evidence for me that as of now this is very important, and for whom is this very important? Well, it's important for the people that as of now are losing readers, listeners, viewers, and overall engaged citizens perhaps. So based on the assumption that a lot of perhaps traditional old outlets and channels are losing their engagees, this new vocabulary and the discussions around them has blown up. So that's the evidence for me. It's very important for some people at least, to who and what you read or listen to. So I thought I had to make this video because as of lately I've heard discussions about fake news and conspiracy theories on the radio. I've read about it in the news. I've seen and heard about it on TV, and our the elected people here in Sweden, the higher-ups in the political arena, they are also using these words: alternative facts, fake news, conspiracy theory, Russian trolls. It's okay to use them, and no one is really protesting. So this is the evidence for me. A lot of people are losing viewers, readers, and interactions. A lot of new channels and outlets are popping up every now and then. And I've seen, even commercial on wanted to inform me how to handle, conspiracy theories at the workplace. I've seen in the news explanations of why people like these conspiracy theories, and because every time something new happens or arises, and there's a buzz around it, the people that are in power, perhaps, or the people that have control of something that's being changed or is open to being changed, they would prefer if things stay the same, because some perhaps tactic or modus operandi has been working up till now, and because of some changes in either technology or the psyche of human beings someplace, or in general, have changed. And as of now, it's the information that spreads very easily. It flows in all directions, and it's not a big task to get information out for anyone to read. So every time that there's a buzz around something new, something in the news, the old players perhaps will look for someone that can wrap it up and draw from their wisdom and explain why exactly this is happening now. So you can be calm and you can understand it, and you can look at the people around you that perhaps seem to fall into the traps of the conspiracy theories. That okay, we understand you, I understand you, you do this because of very natural reasons, and you can read the explanation here, in the traditional media perhaps. So every time there's some new buzz, there will be people going around looking for a way to encapsulate that and explain it. And this is also occurring pretty frequently right now. It could be about why are people not obliging to information and the instructions about the climate, perhaps. So we get the explanation of this, so that you, the reader or the watcher, the listener, can understand why the person perhaps next to you or your neighbor is not so interested, or perhaps is interested in another perspective. So you read the article and you think to yourself, so my neighbor does this because of these reasons. So that means that, that I'm still on the right track and everything is cool. Perhaps not. Time will tell. So, let's get forward. So when you talk about these subjects and these topics and these words, one starts to, question things like, what is new? What is news? What defines, news? And, well, it's obvious that it's a pretty deep rabbit hole, but my shallow conclusion is that, the news is the reporting of some event or some thing that has occurred or has been said, has been done, something that's happened, and it's a reporting of this with, there's always a perspective, you can't get away from that, but it's a reporting of an event, let's say, to keep it easy, simple. So the news, or the news channels, news stations, news papers and everything, they write about something, and this is, I'm not sure how to say it in singular form, but this is the new. So I snap my fingers, I can report about it. 30-year-old man in Sweden snaps his fingers in his apartment while recording a video. Not too interesting, but all the news is like this, and one must understand that it's always some reason behind reporting an event, and the reasons can be many. So for me, any news channel, paper or outlet, they thrive and live off of reporting about events. And how do they thrive? Well, they can be politically engaged and interested in getting this information out. They can be interested in grabbing people's attention and getting eyes and ears to be focused. And all of these news channels or outlets, they also have or often have an interest in being a platform in some way for either individuals. So I can write to channels and outlets, and sometimes I get a response, sometimes I can publish my writing as well. And I think the biggest interest in getting on the news platform in any way for an individual citizen in a society would be if you have something going, you want to put it out there, you want to get people to get it in their heads. It could be a politician, it could be some boss at some corporation, and it can be for any kind of reason. It can be for giving anyone a heads up that this is going to happen some way in the future, so I want to get it out. I want to get it out perhaps early, so that doesn't seem like lightning strikes from an open sky when it happens. Sometimes you want to get it out slow so that people can adapt to what's going to happen or what's planned. Can be to get important information, and important but perhaps necessary for the society to keep going, keep stable. And today also it's the news channels and outlets, they do it for the income. And with the income, I don't really mean, if you want to work as a journalist and write and you get paid for that. I mean, it's a platform for journalists to get a name known. And very majorly, it's also a platform to get, payments for commercial activities. So you have a product, you want to market it, you go to a news channel or outlet or whatever, and you pay them cash, and they put your stuff out there. So, the history of the media, or at least the television media here in Sweden, it's not so old. I'm not sure about exactly when the first commercial channel started, but a commercial channel, as most of the channels are, they how do they earn their money? Well, it's a platform, so people want to come there, but most of all it's a platform for marketing. So some TV channels, they live off of the income they get from marketing. So basically, if you want to be cynic about it, they would show anything that's socially acceptable, or perhaps on the edge of being socially acceptable, so it grabs the attention of the people. And I can think about a lot of shows like Paradise Hotel is one, Big Brother. We have a handful of shows that's, in my eyes, only on the TV to grab attention and get people to have their eyes on the screen as the commercial rolls on. So a lot of channels and outlets are living off of the marketing aspect. So today is a program about fat dogs, let's say, and tomorrow is a program about old people and their hobbies, and the day after that it's a program about old cars. The programs will always keep coming, and it's always a new idea. You copy stuff from other countries around the world, but as long as you can get the people to watch and listen and read, you will get money for allowing companies to market on your platform. So in my mind, a lot of the channels on the TV, they're only there for the opportunity to sell marketing time, and they want to sell it in such a way that they can let you, as the person interested in marketing something, decide what kind of category of people you want to show your commercial to. So if you have a product that you have calculated or assume or know that older men are interested in, that's no problem. The statistics are there. You just pay the money and your commercial is put on at the best calculated time. So what's the conclusion? News channels, they want to seem like they're giving you the very important information, perhaps the best entertainment and such, but in the end they're most interested in the audience that they can gather, and how well they can categorize this audience, and how much money they can take for marketing towards these categories in the audience. So that's news. And what is a conspiracy theory then? Well, if you listen to the radio or TV or the news channels, it seems like it would be about not going to the moon, or going to the moon, if it has been done or not. if it's, some great conspiracy going on, and you can put the blame on perhaps one name, one family, and such, one country. And these are the big events that get talked about. So for some reason, by pretty natural reasons, when the perhaps traditional media outlets talk about conspiracy theories, they often talk about it in a manner that implies that people who are interested in conspiracy theories are way out there, and they are malevolent in their reasoning. They want to find perhaps a scapegoat, and they found a theory that fits this perfectly. So now they have the scapegoat and they have the theories or analytics to back it up. But what is a conspiracy theory and what is a conspiracy theorist? Is religion a conspiracy theory? Because the devil is out there and is trying to fool you in some way, or the people that are astray, lost, they're trying to perhaps not actively, but they're spreading the wrong ideas and the wrong way of life. So is the traditional religions, are they conspiracy theories? Because there's someone trying to lead you astray, perhaps put you in misery, lead you to sin, and you gotta protect yourself against this. I would say it's a conspiracy theory, don't you think? Another word or phrase, alternative facts, it's been used by higher ups in the political arena here in Sweden, as they want to dismiss or not discuss perhaps a topic or subject. That's the alternative facts. And what's an alternative fact? Because in my eyes, our politicians use it, well, most of the time when they open their mouth. So let's say our Prime Minister says something about the employment rate or employment percentage here in Sweden, and it seems to be going down for some reason, but the evidence out in society doesn't really seem to follow exactly the same path. So with statistics you can pretty much do whatever you want if you present it in a good way. So when our Prime Minister presents that the unemployment has gone down by this and that percentage, that's a fact, I assume. But if you look into it, how do you count or analyze the unemployment percentage? So when you get down to the papers, in some cases it can be, well, if you have an activity perhaps that's paid by the government for a few hours every month in some kind of program for unemployed or the like. If you put the rules and the gathering of the information in the right way, this person or individual is not unemployed anymore. and our Prime Minister can then, present the fact that the employment rate has gone up for perhaps a category of people, when in fact perhaps it has gone up. So it has gone up. I'm not arguing about it, but it hasn't gone up in the way that the receiver of that fact parses it. So Prime Minister goes, unemployment rate is going up, down. I mean, the employment rate is increasing. But when you look into the gathering of information and the arbitrary lines that make up this is unemployment, this is employment, and if you make the government pay for programs that get unemployed individuals into activities each month, they're not unemployed anymore. So is it not an alternative fact to present the information or the fact in such a way that our prime politicians do? To me, it's an alternative fact. And coming down to the fake news and conspiracy theories and everything, one must ask oneself, what's the difference between a normal person, a citizen, and a citizen with the employment of a journalist? So what's the difference between a citizen and a working journalist? Besides, from one being employed and having title, at least here in Sweden, I think it's probably somewhat the same. Sorry, so my phone went out of disk space. Let's see. So the difference between a normal citizen and a journalist, and I think this is somewhat the same around the world, at least the Western world. Journalists, they have some advantages in gathering information. So as of now, recently here in Sweden, it's now illegal, and I think this is through the European Union, but now it's illegal for an individual to gather documents regarding criminality, because here in Sweden we have it's an old rule of some sort that says that every individual has the right to be able to access and obtain information about every community and public function. So if you are arrested for robbery and you are judged and you get a it's called conviction. I don't know, you get to pay some fees and you get registered as some kind of offender. So this document is public, so I can go and request it and I will receive it. But now, with the spread of information, a lot of things change, and one thing that is not allowed to happen is that an individual, perhaps like myself, decides to gather information about all, let me Google that word, all convicted criminals during the last year or so. I can get it, and I can use it for myself, but if I start to, organize these documents, let's say in a database, and I let you have access to this database, then it's illegal. So I'm allowed to get the information, but I'm not allowed to organize it and spread it in a way that I would seem fit. And also here in Sweden, it's okay for people that work as journalists to visit people's homes and perhaps looking for an interview, or in some cases it's more like an interrogation, but anyway, interview some sort, that's okay. But if I, as a citizen, go home to a journalist to ask question, I'm pretty sure that I'm gonna get attention from police, perhaps. So there's a big difference between journalist and citizen, and I think this difference, I would want it to go away, because I don't think it matters what your title is about the spread of information. And as we have it here, all public documents are available for the citizens. Why put restrictions on the citizens? If the citizens do a better job than a journalist that has the allowance, how is that good? And how do we know? I'm not sure. So I think I've gone through it. The news. What's the news? What is it? What does it mean? How is it defined? What's fake news? It's obvious that a lot of people are afraid of, losing their ability to get people's eyes and ears on them, or their platform, or whatever they say. And it's very obvious as of now here in Sweden, because I think it's last year, the parliament voted with a great majority that our governmental news outlet, let's say, it's called public service here. So by the name you can tell it's supposed to serve the public with information. This part of the government has, through the voting with a great majority, they've gained, quite an increase in the budget. And I'm not sure how much it is, but it's a very big economical number. And once again, I come to the conclusion that they're very afraid. And that's why they're talking about the fake news, the Russian trolls. You've got to be careful to what you read and what you listen to, because someone's out there. Isn't it a conspiracy theory? Probably has truth to it. I know it has truth to it, because all countries do this. They, it's a natural part of, being human. You want to reach out, you want to try things, see how the environment reacts. You want to see what kind of influence you can have. So naturally, Sweden as a country want to test against Russia. What kind of influence can we have, and so forth, and the opposite as well. Russia will, probe Sweden, see what happens. How do the people react? How do the politicians react? So, with an increase of a budget like this, you also ask the question, what's the purpose of, this public service? Is it supposed to compete with the free market? And if so, why is this not discussed so much? Is the goal of the public service to, take viewers or listeners from other people and organizations and, so to say, steal them? Is that the goal of a government media? In a time where a lot is at stakes, that would be the goal, I think. During World War II, once again, going back to that reference, the news in, Germany, and with Goebbels and everything, does it seem like a good idea to only listen to the government news? Or, in Russia, at the same time, with the Pravda, I think it's called, the news outlet that's called The Truth. Is it a good idea to only, partake from their reportings? It seems like a very stupid idea to me. If, you want to be connected with as many as possible and get as good as an understanding as possible of the world, because in such a situation, the government and the structure and system, or whatever you want to call it, is volatile, and they would do whatever is necessary to keep the viewers or readers or listeners. So I ask myself, why this budget increase? The quality of our public service as of now is, to me, very open to critique, and I've critiqued it, didn't get a response. So I don't think they have resources, they could use it a lot better. They don't need this much of an extra budget. And, our public service is supposed to serve the public with, news that's not influenced by political organizations, or, it's supposed to be neutral. But they're not so good at, reporting about international activities and happenings, because, to keep it to one topic, reporting about Trump here in Sweden, it's very one-sided, and reporting about, the Brexit is also very one-sided, I think. And what's happening right now in the USA with the trials with the FBI, Comey, the Mueller dossier, Hillary Clinton, and the activities surrounding the last presidential election in America. Not a lot is being reported here by the public service, I get my information from the YouTube now. But it's a lot of big stuff happening, and public service here is not reporting it, and they want an increase in budget. We have, the outlets that are, dependent on our government. They get the economical supply and help, and they have to follow some kind of guidelines and rules to be able to get that sponsoring, perhaps, from the state. They all use the same kind of rhetoric and vocabulary as they do in USA, like fake news. It's not born here in Sweden, but it's used here. The Russia overall is also used, the great enemy that we have to fear. So when it's brought up, and now it's some very important information coming. So the international reporting of the public service here in Sweden, I would rate it low. At least if you're interested in political movements and overall international trade, migration that's going on right now, and everything. War, Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria. I don't think you get the best reporting from the public service, even though they're supposed to be the neutral reporting, and taxpayers here pay for it. So let's see, the video is getting long again. Let's conclude. So today information spreads fast, and there's a lot of censoring going on, at least as far as I'm informed. For example, in France, I heard they want to monitor gaming chats to see, I think this was during the Yellow Vests, to see that no organization is done, or perhaps terrorism is organized through gaming channels. So they want to monitor. And I think, as of now, with the information being spread and obtained so easily, it's easy to get interested in history and to you search about it and read about it, and pretty quickly you realize that people most people learn this or realize this during school, that people way back, man, they were stupid. But they were not stupid. They were perhaps fooled by the illusions of their time, perhaps fooled by the media outlets of their time, perhaps fooled by the politicians and leaders, religious leaders of their time, to believe and think and act in a certain way. So I think it's very natural to, the term conspiracy theory, or theorists, as the person engaging in the activity, for me it's I think it's it's tangible. It's probably very equivalent to actively looking to develop your skills in critical thinking. Because if you don't actively criticize or try to think critically about perhaps news reporting or laws and regulations and whatever's going on, if you don't think about it critically, you are taking the easy path. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because everyone can sit and be a critical thinker all day, but it's a very natural activity to do, to think about conspiracy theories, because we know from history that people are fooled easily, and life is an illusion in some sort at every moment. So, you know, in conclusion, if we could choose, we would like to not be fooled, or not to live within our own illusion of some sort. So, a long time ago, the Earth was flat. As of now, it's a globe. As of now, you don't want to be a person that think the world is flat if you know it's a globe. And this rule or concept can be applied for any kind of information. And as a somewhat famous conspiracy theoretical person here in Sweden said, no, I'd rather be a tinfoil hat than to be a idiot. Rephrase something along those lines. So anyway, that was my fake news of the day. Thank you for listening.